Good evening and welcome to Cstv News at 24 on Cstv. Cstv News at 24 is brought to you by Celeste Sweet Tom Brown, Rema Ocean Agency, Amstel Block Machinery and Block Manufacturing, KS Rafe Mix Company Limited, Serious Dream Jewelries, Yap Decorations, Nap Apartments Hotel, and Crystal Jorek Pet Shop. My name is Dorcas Mesa. Now in the headlines. Maternity mortality rates continue to spike despite quality healthcare in the country coming your way. Also, Kolebu Teaching Hospital to hold mass burial for 320 unclaimed bodies. And moving on to business news also, NAIMOS to sustain nationwide anti-galamsey operations through Christmas. On the international front also, two police officers killed in an explosion in Moscow. There's a many more stories will be coming your way in tonight's news bulletin. Stay tuned. Welcome back now on this news. The General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Fifi Fiavi Kwete, says Ghanaians place their hope in the party after 8 years of failed promises. According to him, the 2024 elections was important because Ghanaians had reached a stage where their entire hope was placed in the party.
Important because the people of Ghana had reached that stage where their whole hope, was placed on the vehicle known as the NDC. Because they had seen 8 years, virtually it was getting towards 8 years of a government that promised a lot, but unfortunately failed to deliver. Not only did they fail to even keep the standards that they came to meet, they absolutely tanked. That they went far lower, virtually on all levels. First of all, in terms of fidelity to their promises, they broke their promises as if they did not matter at all. These are people also who spend 8 years basically just sloganeering, believing that you can throw platitudes about, you can deceive the people by mentioning what's called the big slogans, and somehow you can take the people with you. So that's what we heard, the 1D1Ls, the 1V1Ds. They believe that somehow the people are still gullible, and the more you can throw and spin around all these accomplishments, somehow you can fool the people. They destroy the economy in a massive way, and this economic destruction was not just limited to what you call corporate organizations like banks or other companies or even small businesses that were suffering. It went down to the very pockets and livelihoods of ordinary people, where you can even have pensioners seeing their whole lifetime savings totally just gone because of the sheer greed and the incompetence of the regime that was in place. So it's like the people really were looking for a new vehicle, and as said, we step in at the time because we felt also that it was a moment where we needed to bring something that we can also bring to help our party. I would say in my case,
Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Agnes Momolate, says maternal mortality continues to spike despite increase in quality health care. She also described the situation as alarming.
Over 86% maternal deaths remain unacceptably high. Data shows that Ghana's maternal mortality ratio has declined only marginally from 316 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2010 to 301 in 2020.
As so on the news, also the Deputy Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, Nana Oyebampoado, revealed that about 900 women have died from pregnant-related causes.
900 maternal deaths are recorded this year alone, and it reminds us that progress has stalled and that small, gradual improvements can no longer suffice. What is required now is decisive, high-impact actions that will confront the root causes of maternal mortality with honesty and with the urgency it deserves.
Speaking
on behalf of the Health Minister, the Director of Technical Coordination Health Planning, Dr. Hafiz Adam, stated.
In 2025, the situation has worsened significantly. Over 900 maternal deaths recorded nationwide as of November 2025. Projections indicate that the figure is likely to exceed 1,000 deaths by the end of this year. Some regions have recorded maternal mortality ratio exceeding 200 per 1,000 live births. These trends indicate that Ghana is off track by policy commitments under the Universal Health Coverage Roadmap.
And now moving on to other stories, the Rubber Farmers Association has rejected calls for a complete ban on the export of rubber, describing its claims behind the proposed as false. An executive member of the association, Michael Nyako, has this to say.
Raw rubber are unchecked and hence undermine local processing, threaten Ghana's industrialization agenda to create jobs, and allegedly cause annual losses of up to $100 million US dollars. On the basis of these unsubstantiated claims, calls have been made for a complete ban on raw rubber exports. We wish to state categorically that these claims are false, self-serving, and do not reflect the realities of Ghana's. In total, over 2 million dependents rely on incomes generated from rubber farming activities to meet their education, health, and basic living needs. Any policy decision that leads to monopoly, the monopoly pricing, and reduce farm gate prices will not protect jobs. It will destroy them, deepen rural poverty, and undermine social stability in the rubber growing communities. During the COVID-19 pandemic, several processors stopped purchasing rubber, including Ghana Rubber Estate, pushing farmers to the brink of abandoning their farms. Exporters provided an alternative market and prevented the collapse of livelihoods. This is evidence that multiple markets provide security to farmers and prevent unnecessary hardship and youth unemployment, which is a major reason for the absence of illegal.
Teenagers are building businesses with AI, while the only AI you know.
The management of Kolebu Teaching Hospital has announced plans to undertake a mass burial of about 320 unclaimed bodies at its mortuary. In the public notice, the hospital explained that the situation at the mortuary has become critical, making the exercise necessary to create space and ensure proper management of the facility. Family members, next of kin, or anyone with a legitimate interest in any of the bodies have been advised to contact the hospital within 21 days of the notice or on before January 18, 2026 to make appropriate arrangements. And now let's move on to the OT region also. One in a critical condition after an accident on the Nkwanta-Pasa highway in the Eastern Corridor. The vehicle involved, whose number plate had been removed, was traveling from Tamale to Hohoi in the Volta region with passengers on board. It reportedly ran into a pothole, burst a tire, and sustained severe damage, leading to the accident. All 6 passengers disclosed that the driver was speeding towards Hohoi after receiving calls that passengers were waiting to travel to Tamale. EDDT rejects claims of Supreme Court revoking Che Ado land title. We're going for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Read the story. Stay tuned.
Company Limited. So we per blocks machines here air papa. Na ne bonso assign edda form dia. Enye na enwani Amsel Company Limited. Ye were conveyor blocks machines, hydraulic blocks machines, pallets, any blocks machines in one accessories in na. And nothing so blocks machines are who draw opening in a bin so ewo ho. Jisha ye cha kwan ene ya. Ye was Spinters Road 18 Junction. Ye ni KFC dino ena edin hwe ni mu. Freye, it was 05,240 and I say 0540-725850. Amsel blocks machines in papa efie.
Welcome back from the commercial break. You're still live on CSTV News at 24 on CSTV. Now, let's move on to business story. The East Dede Kotopon Development Trust Fund has firmly rejected claims that its extensive land holding at Cheado in Accra has been revoked by Supreme Court, describing such assertions as false, legally misleading and deliberately intended to deceive the public. Addressing a press conference, the trust warned of what it called a worsening security situation in the Cheado area.
The Supreme Court found against the claim of the plaintiff respondent, it was explicitly stated in the judgment that the Supreme Court could not grant the relief of the appellant, the first defendant, within the context of the suit before it. The reasons given was that the fundamental issues of the validity of the 2001 consent judgment of the High Court, creating the EDDT, as well as the 2015 consent judgment of the Court of Appeal, especially relative to the interests or otherwise of the Atata Gachina Ache and Numo Ufuli Pashi families, was the subject of a suit pending at a High Court to be determined. To the extent that the Supreme Court declined to pronounce on the validity of the above judgment, the EDDT remained unaffected by the said judgment, except perhaps in respect of the subject matter of the suit, the land measuring 2 acres.
Parkway scandal has assured Ghanaians that the National Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining will continue its operations nationwide throughout the Christmas season. Speaking on a panel discussion, Mr. Scandov said the NAMOS is still continuing with its operations across the length and breadth of the country.
Come out. Well, so NAMOS is still continuing with its operations across the length and breadth of the country.
Is it?
I'm sure you will be breaking for Christmas very soon. You'll be going on the holidays, but unfortunately, NAMOS, the personnel at NAMOS would not embark on any such venture. They will still be in the communities ensuring that the menace of illegal mining is roundly dealt with. There is a good news that we will soon announce in full detail, and that is the permanent deployment of military personnel to all the relevant flashpoints. Indeed, we had communicated earlier that that was going to be done.
Yeah.
But of course, if you are deploying soldiers in such quantum and momentum, you would need to incentivize and resource them financially. thankfully we have that clearance from the Finance Ministry, and so hopefully from the early start of next year, we will see military personnel at all the relevant flashpoints, and that would of course mean that now it is 24-hour surveillance at all of the relevant areas where illegal mining is concerned. And so images like this very soon are going to be a thing of the past, because now the military personnel will be permanently stationed, and that will give us enhanced results.
Moving on to the international front also, 3 people, including 2 police officers, have been killed in an explosion in Russia, Moscow. The 2 officers saw a suspicious individual near a police car on the city street. When they approached the suspect to detain him, an explosive device was detonated. The attack comes 2 days after a senior Russian general was killed in a car bombing in the capital on Monday. Sports update will be coming your way right after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back from the commercial break. Now in sports update for tonight. Paul Merson believes Spurs are the best fit for Anthony Semenyo, even over other clubs like Chelsea, Manchester United and Liverpool.
A real key signing that would kick them off. They have a bit of a wage structure at Tottenham. They don't really pay big money like what the rest do. I think this could kickstart them. They would have to do this all behind the scenes because they don't want to keep on getting caught on the hop. They're going for a player and then the player jumps and goes somewhere else because someone else is coming for them. But I think he suits them. I think Chelsea got loads of wingers already. They've got, you've got Garnacho, Neto, Esteval, Gittins, who's not really produced at the moment. So I don't know about that. But plus he's 26, so I don't see the sell on that one. Man United will play wing back. He won't play in his favourite position, in my opinion there. Man City, how long will Pep Guardiola be there? If you sign a 4-year contract and the manager leaves at the end of the season, who's to say the next manager comes in and wants them? Tottenham would be the one. Plus Bournemouth, everybody else to places like Chelsea. I go Chelsea a lot, I'm a big Chelsea fan. Everybody comes to Stamford Bridge and sits 10 behind the ball. There's not a lot of space. So now you need that little bit more, not just, getting the ball and beating players. You've got to have that little bit of goal, flicking it round the corner, 1-2s. Man United, he won't want to play wing back. He won't want to up and down the wing every week. He just won't want. I wouldn't have thought he'd have wanted to do that. So for me, I think Tottenham would be the one if they can. That would be a statement for Tottenham as well. I think that could kickstart them moving forward. They need to make a key signing, beat a couple of other clubs to it that are after him, and they're big clubs after him. But will they? I don't know. They'd have to do all that behind the scenes and make sure they get it over the line. They won't want to be embarrassed like they have over the last 3 or 4 transfers they've been in for. So, but for me, I would say that I ain't sure where he'd suit with the others. Liverpool.
And moving on, Bournemouth head coach Alfonso Areola at the meetings on certain about Semenyo's future at the club, but says he does not want to keep his star player.
Anton Semenyo right now is with us. Has trained today very well. He's playing very well. I understand that there is not a lot of noise around Antoine, but my worry, my concern is that doesn't affect him, his performances, and we are seeing that it's not affecting his performances. He's very committed to the team, and I hope we can keep him there. There are situations that I cannot control or we cannot control, but right now Antoine is our player, and he's going to continue playing for us, and if you ask me, I don't want to lose him. Definitely I don't want to lose him, But like we always say, every time the market opens, you never know what's going to happen.
The fact that he scored 2 in 2, played so well, does that show you just how good a professional he is, how committed he is to the club, and another reason why you'd love to keep him here for longer?
No, Antoine, for me, has been performing very well, not just the last 2 games, because he scored, even the level of consistency has been very good since the beginning of the season, has had moments where he hasn't scored, where he was still being very, very valuable for us. At the end, we demand him not only the numbers, he gives us a lot of things, and yes, I think it's no secret that he's a massive player for us, yes.
Can you understand why so many of the big clubs are interested in a player like him because of his ability?
Yes, obviously, he's performing very well, but there are a lot of very good wingers from other teams also performing amazingly well, so you never know what's going to happen, no? At the end, we are in a league where most of the teams, or I would say even all the teams, no, they have difference makers, especially in the offensive positions, and in the summer there were a lot of movements.
Speaking in an interview, Brighton midfielder Carlos outlines his ambitions to be the best midfielder at AFCON as he looks to give everything for himself, his people and his country, Cameroon.
In this AFCON, I want to give everything for my country and for myself. I want to show for the people, I want to be the best midfielder in the world. Like, not the world, because they have a lot of best midfielder, but I want to be a best midfielder like Yaya Toure in Africa. But the first thing is our country, our style to play, and to give everything. And here is the ambition. If I can do more for Yaya Toure, I will do more. I still young, but I have a big ambition. I just want to work hard, to take some advice, to take something about midfielder. I try to learn every day. I'm learning. I think I become a big leader, but there are a lot of leaders in the group. But the first thing is to believe on our.
Let's move on to entertainment story. American rapper Nicki Minaj has explained her art of speaking against the plight of Christians in Nigeria, pointing to a connection to the country and disturbing reports of violence against worshippers. She disclosed that the pastor is Nigerian and that she enjoys strong support from fans in the country, widely referred to as Nigerians Babs.
And that brings me back to our great president and this administration and our great country. That we take for granted that there right now in this world are people who cannot worship God as they please, where they please. We take it for granted because we have it. We can't even imagine not having that. But every time we pray and fellowship, we have to remember the people that are right now in this world hiding to pray and fellowship. And we have to pray for them. And first of all, Nigeria is a place I've always loved. Someone very dear to me, my pastor, is Nigerian. I have lots of Nigerian barbs. And so hearing that people are being kidnapped, and while they're in church, people are being kidnapped, people are being killed, brutalized, all because of their religion. And that should spark outrage in the great America. And that's what it did. And again, we're not backing down anymore. We are not going to be silenced by the bullies anymore, okay?
Multiple award-winning musician Stonebwoy has opened up about the inspiring journey that shaped his rise to stardom, revealing how an unexpected lifeline helped to secure his future. In an interview, the celebrated artist disclosed the insurance compensation he received after a live ushering accident was used to pay senior high school fees. He described the moment as pivotal, saying it laid the foundation for a strong commitment to education and philanthropy.
I'm going to share it on your show today. My school fees that I used to pay from SS1 to SS2 was out of the insurance that we had from the accident. the quota that my dad would place for me was what took me through senior high school 1, 2, and by 3, the 3 terms have been paid already. You ask yourself, if not for the accident, what would have paid for my fees? You get what I'm trying to say? So this is something I've not shared on any platform this way. So this comes to tell you that I'm very passionate and I understand struggles of life. So I do not take it lightly when I have 1 CD and I can share to any person. People around me know this for a fact, that I'm passionate and compassionate about people. So much so that I've realized a long time that through me, people will be blessed. People must be blessed. And that's why God has been taking me through all these tribulations. That's how I've come to understand. So I'm not worried. I don't worry too much. And that's why I said the Livingstone Foundation. Fortunately, my name is Livingstone, so you can understand the weight it carries. So I set the foundation some 10 years ago, and we've been doing a few stuff, touching 1 life, 2 life, and by touch 1 person, you're touching a whole lot, to be honest. So that has led us to, when I went through the school period as well, aside having gone back to my alma mater, Methodist Day Secondary School, the time they were paying school fees, I had to always come in for the 3rd years and pay school fees for the last ones who are writing exams, who cannot pay. Yet we have like 10, 15 of them go through it every year. When free education came, thanks to the government, to senior high school, that shut down a little bit, so we turned attention into supporting medical fees and that. And that's all coming from the artist. And it's not because I have money piling sitting down there, but because I understand that life goes on. So right after my master's, I said I'm not going to leave again without any impact. Because impact.
And that'll be all for tonight's news bulletin. But before we go, a recap of the top stories. Maternal mortality rates continue to spike despite increase in quality healthcare. Also, Kolebu Teaching Hospital to hold a mass burial for 320 unclaimed bodies. In business news, NAIMOS to sustain nationwide anti-galamsey operations throughout Christmas. On the international front, 2 police officers killed in explosion in Moscow. And this is where we draw our curtains for tonight's news bulletin. CSTV News at 24 was brought to you by Celeste with Tom Brown, Rema Ocean Agency, Amstel Block Machinery and Block Manufacturing, KS Rafemix Company Limited, Sarah's Dream Jewelries, Yard Decorations, Nap Apartment Hotel, and Crystal Jorek Pet Shop. My name is Dorcas Mesa. Merry Christmas to you all.